to justice. He is corrupt. It has been proved. So we don't have to second thing about this. Now, as far as
Vinit ji, namaskar. Namaskar.
Ram Ram Barka ji.
प्रणाम. I wanted to ask you कि कुछ लोगों का कहना होगा कि टाइमिंग बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है कि जिस शाम को इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स का डेटा आता है उसी शाम अरविंद केजरीवाल अरेस्ट हो जाते हैं. तो जो ऑपोजिशन का आरोप है कि ये हेडलाइन मैनेजमेंट है, हेडलाइन बदलने के लिए किया गया है, आप क्या कहेंगे?
ये देखिए, हिंदुस्तान में 365 दिन और 365 दिन कोई ना कोई इलेक्शन, कोई ना कोई बात तो होती है. इसीलिए रामनाथ कोविंद जी के अध्यक्षता के अंदर एक नई समिति बनाई गई कि भाई वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन होता, कि ये जो बार बार टाइमिंग वाला बात आए, ये टाइमिंग वाला बात जो है कम हो जाए. नहीं तो अन्यथा ये टाइमिंग वाली बात 365 दिन तक चलती रहेगी. और why should a Turk be scared? He is involved. If he is not involved, then he should not fear. He should have gone to the ED office.
But what about the timing? The one timing, the questions could be raised on the evening of the electoral bonds data, but it's also 6 weeks before elections. Vinit Goenka?
No, on a lighter side, and then I'll answer you on the serious side also. No, lighter side, yes. We will go and ask Arvind Kejriwal कि सर बताइए कि कब आपके खिलाफ कोई आरोप लगाए कि बताना, टाइम बताना. Number two, on the serious side, he had ample opportunity. When was the first notice been served to him under ED? Please tell this. Why didn't he go to the ED office and clarify this? I remember earlier politicians, there have been politicians in other states who went to the office of ED, gave themselves the answers and they walked away. And there are also people who were arrested when they were not satisfying the answers. So I think Arvind Kejriwal, being a former IRS, he should have gone to ED, respected the agency, answered. He chose not to do that. You know.
Madhavan, do you think Arvind Kejriwal underestimated what was coming, because he ignored 7 summons from the ED? And just to be very clear, what are the allegations? The allegation in this case is that kickbacks have been received by the Aam Aadmi Party, not by an individual, but by the Aam Aadmi Party, in return for a liquor policy that favored certain corporates. K. Kavita of the BRS has also been arrested as part of the so-called South cartel that paid these kickbacks up to 100 crores. Manish Sisodia is already in jail. The charges are quite grave. Even if you make the argument that this is the weaponization of the ED before the elections, there's nothing to actually counter the BJP when it says the charges are grave. And why has Mr. Kejriwal been ignoring the summons? I know you guys have been chatting a lot and I'm joining in late, so forgive me if some of my questions are repetitive. But what do you make of the timing?
Let me bring you up on what we chatted very quickly so that you know where we stand. Barkha, the main point is that Vinit Goenka detailed all the allegations as well as what he called evidence. But my broad take in this is some of them are matters of policy discretion, which is well allowed under the law, except for the issue of the earnest money, on which what he said seemed to me slightly suspicious to me from the point of view of arbitrariness. As far as policy matters are concerned, if you compare it with, let's say, the 2G scam, in which I was shouting even when it was happening 5 years before the case became public, that there was a complete lack of transparency in the 2G scam. I'm tempted to compare it with 2G because in this case, my understanding is that there was transparency, but there were some questionable caveats within the transparent design, which might come in to be called as irregularity. Now, its irregularity may not be amounting to illegality. After that, there is a question of who's responsible for that within the administrative structure. And further than that, there is a need for an establishment of a quid pro quo in order for any meaningful corruption case going up to a stage of conviction. And so I'm not personally convinced that there is sufficient evidence for final conviction of this kind, like in many corruption cases. But
do you think from a
political standpoint, there is sufficient ammunition for the BJP.
He made a mistake by ignoring the summons? Do you think he made a mistake by ignoring the summons?
No, in fact, I have my own theory that Kejriwal saw this whole process. I said this earlier in this show as well. Kejriwal saw that for the past 3 years or so, the Enforcement Directorate has been acting enough for people to call the BJP as a washing machine and the ED as a political instrument. So he decided to make an opportunity out of a challenge. That is why if you see the way Atishi has been making statements and the way Kejriwal, they wanted to brazen it out in a very in-your-face manner, as if to wear this whole ED arrest or detention, as I technically call it, as a badge of honor rather than a matter of disgrace. So this is a political what you call optics that the Aam Aadmi Party, in my opinion, has consciously chosen to pursue. So that is where it is for you and me and the general public to see what it is.
So let's spend 5 minutes talking about the political impact. But before that, Harshit, if you can bring us up to speed for people who might just be tuning in, who, in fact, it's so interesting. अभी मैं किसी से मिली, मैं कहीं बाहर थी, तो मैंने कहा कि आज मैं फ्री नहीं हूँ क्योंकि अरविंद केजरीवाल शायद अरेस्ट हो जाए. और can you see me? 1 second. हाँ. I was saying I met somebody. मैंने कहा अरविंद केजरीवाल शायद आज अरेस्ट हो जाए. उन्होंने कहा ये तो कितनी बारी हम सुन चुके हैं, ये तो होने नहीं वाला. A lot of people Harshit thought कि ये होगा नहीं. It is just a distraction or deflection. तो आम आदमी पार्टी की तरफ से क्या responses आ रही हैं? Kejriwal of course is going to the Supreme Court tomorrow. That case will be heard. Quickly, if you can tell us, and then with Vineet and Madhavan, we'll spend 5 minutes talking about the political impact. Will this help him, hurt him? But अभी तक जो responses politically आए हैं, Harshit, just take us through them.
जी, yes, for sure. In fact, अभी तक we have had a very good मुशायरा वाला conversation. I would in fact rather say विनीत जी अपनी शायरियां सुना रहे थे, माधवन साहब ने एक बड़ी अच्छी शायरी सुनाई जिसमें उन्होंने कहा कि क्या ईडी का वेपनाइजेशन वाकई में किया जा रहा है. I was speaking to this fellow from आम आदमी पार्टी फोन पे. उनका ये कहना था कि सर मैं बताता हूँ आपको क्या हुआ होगा. हुआ ये होगा कि इलेक्शन कमीशन ने वहां से डाटा अपलोड किया होगा और इधर से ईडी के ऑफिसर्स जो है 6 फ्लैगस्टाफ रोड में अंदर चले गए होंगे ताकि दोनों न्यूज डाइवर्ट हो जाए. ये एलिगेशंस थे उन लोगों के साफ तौर पर. तो ये तो अलग अलग रिस्पॉन्सेज लगातार आ रहे हैं. आतिशी सेट कि भाई अगर ईडी गिरफ्तार करना चाहती थी तो फिर इतनी सारी पुलिस क्यों आई, आरएएफ के जवानों को क्यों वहां पे खड़ा किया गया. खैर वो प्रिवेंटिव मेजर्स होते हैं, वो तो एक तरीके से लिए ही जाने होते हैं, वो उसमें खैर ज्यादा डिबेट का मुद्दा है नहीं. लेकिन अभी तक का जो एक तरीके से आप कह सकते हैं समअप है पूरे घटनाक्रम का, शाम को 7:15 बजे जब ईडी पहुंची अरविंद केजरीवाल दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री के घर पर, तब ये स्पेकुलेशंस लगने शुरू हो चुके थे. आम आदमी पार्टी के नेताओं ने ट्वीट करना शुरू कर दिया था और अलग अलग सोर्सेज जो मीडिया के अंदर हैं, जो मेरे सोर्सेज पार्टी के अंदर मौजूद है, उनका ये कहना था कि सर आज गिरफ्तार कर लेगी ईडी, आप देखिएगा आज गिरफ्तार किया जाएगा, पॉलिटिक्स चेंज करने की कोशिश है. तो आम आदमी पार्टी इज गोइंग फुल फ्लेजेड. दे आर सेइंग कि ईडी इज बीइंग वेपनाइज्ड और बीजेपी ने जस्ट बिफोर लोकसभा इलेक्शंस इसको किया है, जिस पर माधवन साहब हैड हिज ओन टेक, जो कि उनका मानना था कि बीजेपी शायद वेपनाइज करने की कोशिश कर रही है ईडी को और जो अदर एजेंसीज हैं. लेकिन इस पर विनीत साहब का एक बड़ा अच्छा काउंटर आया था. उन्होंने ये कहा कि फिर बेल क्यों नहीं दी कोर्ट ने, बेल क्यों नहीं दी जा रही, क्या कोर्ट को भी बीजेपी ने वेपनाइज कर लिया है. जिस पर अब जैसा आपने कहा बरका कि कल होगा सुप्रीम कोर्ट में इसकी हियरिंग होगी, ऑफ कोर्स फॉर श्योर सुना जाएगा. लेकिन जो मेरी सुधी है, जो मेरा ज्ञान है, वो ये है कि प्रिवेंटिव मेजर्स ऑफ मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग एक्ट का जो पीएमएलए एक्ट है, इसके जो भी प्रोविजंस हैं और जो इस एक्ट के अंदर मेंशन किया गया है, बहुत रेयरेस्ट ऑफ द रेयर केस होता है जब बेल पीएमएलए के अंडर किसी भी व्यक्ति को जिसको अरेस्ट किया जाता है, प्रिवेंटिव अरेस्ट आप उसको कहेंगे. बड़ा इस पे डांट लगाई माधवन साहब ने आज सभी जर्नलिस्ट को कि आप अरेस्ट क्यों बोल रहे हैं. तो उसके अंदर पीएमएलए के अंदर बेल अक्सर देखने को मिलता है कि नहीं देता है कोर्ट. सो दिस इज व्हाट इट इज. आम आदमी पार्टी लगातार कह रही है कि ये वेपनाइजेशन
ये बहुत जरूरी आपने बात बोली. और इसमें मैं I would like to remind our audience that there are already several key Aam Aadmi Party leaders under arrest who have not managed to get bail thus far. Manish Sisodia, of course, is the most prominent, but you also now have Sanjay Singh in jail, जिन्होंने posters लगाए थे बड़े-बड़े welcoming ED to his house. When the ED reached there, perhaps he also didn't think he would actually be arrested. I want to play out Anita Singh. This is Sanjay Singh's wife reacting to Arvind Kejriwal's arrest, and we'll come right back for final comments on the political impact. Will it help or hurt Kejriwal? But let's listen to Sanjay Singh's wife on the Arvind Kejriwal detention to be technical, arrest to be political. Let's take a look.
सीएम साहब के यहाँ सिक्योरिटी बढ़ा दी गई है, कंटिन्यू पूछताछ चल रही है, फोन और सब काफ़ी चीज़ें पूछी हैं, कैसे देखती हैं आप?
ये सरकार बस तानाशाही सरकार है. सारे विपक्षी नेताओं को अगर वो जेल में डालना चाहते हैं तो चुनाव कराने की क्या जरूरत है. जब चुनाव ही सारे मुद्दा है कि सारे विपक्षी नेता को वो जेल में डाल दे रहे हैं. जैसे अभी आप देख रहे होंगे सत्येंद्र जैन को दोबारा जेल में डाल दिया गया, मनीष जी को, संजय जी को, और इसी तरह से अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के घर पे और लगातार छापा और सिक्योरिटी सारी बढ़ा दी गई है. न किसी से मिले, सारे फोन जब्त कर लिए गए हैं. तो इस तरह से तानाशाही सरकार बहुत ज्यादा ये काम कर रही है कि क्या किया जाए. मतलब सारे निर्दोष, अगर कोई भी प्रूफ है, आप एक भी प्रूफ दे नहीं पा रहे हो और सबको जेल में डाले जा रहे हो. ये कहाँ का तानाशाही है. आपको अगर प्रूफ मिलता है तो आप कदम उठाइए. आपको एक भी प्रूफ नहीं मिल रहा है. फिर भी आप जेल में सबको डाल रहे हैं, सबके घर पे ईडी का रेड मरवा रहे हैं। सिर्फ आप लोग को एक मकसद है कि सारे विपक्षी नेताओं को जेल में डाल दिया जाए और अपना सरकार, एकाकी सरकार को बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
Okay, let's get reactions to that. Final comments. I know both of you have to leave, but विनीत जी, ये जो आरोप आम आदमी पार्टी का है कि आप लोग उनसे डरते हैं, ये उनकी एक आर्ग्यूमेंट है। नहीं तो ऐसा क्यों कि जो ईडी के केसेस हैं वो ज्यादातर are only against opposition leaders? Do you think this will help or hurt Arvind Kejriwal in the upcoming elections?
So you've asked multiple questions in one go, but let me answer you one by one. Number one, now there is a saying in Bangla, and I'll translate that for your audience. Chorer mai bodo gala. The mother of the thief yells aloud that, son did not do anything. The police are culprit. So here you will always find near and dear family members of the culprits trying to blame the system, trying to blame the establishment, trying to blame the agency for taking the action. One. The self-proclaimed anarchist, I'm using the word self-proclaimed because Arvind Kejriwal called himself an anarchist. Nobody else called him. And I don't dare to call him. Self-proclaimed anarchist took kickbacks knowingly. Now, when the ED is reaching to their doorsteps, he's trying to blame everybody on the earth. He has to answer. Why did he refund the earnest deposit money? Why did he change the law policies to favor particular company, particular cartel? So this is known. माधवन सर, आप पिता तुल्य है. मैं आपसे पहले माफी मांगता हूँ, एक पर्सनल कमेंट करूंगा, आप अन्यथा ना ले. मैंने इसीलिए कहा कि यू आर लाइक अ फादर टू मी. एंड आपको बड़ा धक्का लगा जब मैंने सच्चाई बताई अरविंद केजरीवाल की, लेकिन सच्चाई कई बार कड़वी होती है सर. इज करप्ट, not only corrupt, he did this conspiracy knowingly that he will not sign the papers, but his deputy Manish Shishodhi will sign it, sir. Tell me a single file or paper been signed by Arvind Kejriwal. When do you don't sign, sir? You don't sign when you know that signing may lead to arrest. So this man should be arrested. Not only arrested, he should be punished.
Before I give Madhavan the closing word, I want to play out BJP Shehzad Poonawala's reaction, and then Madhavan and Harshit, you can have the closing word. Let's listen in.
Satyamev Jayate, the Delhi High Court has now given its verdict and has said that it will not give any relief to Arvind Kejriwal. In a sense, Arvind Kejriwal ji, all your victimhood cards, all the bahanas that you've been making, the fact that you've been saying that the summons are illegal, that this entire liquor scam does not exist, all of them has been put aside. In fact, the court even asked Mr. Kejriwal, why don't you present yourself before the agencies? Why are you running away? It means Kejriwal ji, through his actions itself, is proving that he has something to hide in the Sharab Ghotala, that he himself is the kingpin, and that none of these allegations are allegations of vendetta, because in this matter, the Supreme Court has said 338 crore money trail has been found. The High Court has denied relief to Sanjay Singh. Supreme Court has denied relief to Manish Sisodia. Vijay Nair is in jail. Unfortunately, Mr. Kejriwal has undergone political conversion. And Anna Hazare used to say, first istifa, then charge. Take everybody's istifa. Today, forget istifa. He does not even want to participate.
Okay, Vineet had to go. Madhavan, very quickly, the closing word to you. Let's remember the history of the Aam Aadmi Party. This is the party birthed by an anti-corruption movement, which used to be called India Against Corruption. Arvind Kejriwal used to announce the list of the allegedly corrupt at press conference after press conference. There might be those who say that today Mr. Kejriwal has been hoisted by his own petard, the proverbial cliche, yes, but is that true?
Importantly, based on what I've heard, I want to say three things. First is that innuendo does not amount to information in any trial. Therefore, what we heard from Vineet Goenka, a lot of it was related to policy choices or innuendo, except for the earnest money bit, on which the jury might be out. And the second thing I want to say is that unless there is a proper charge sheet filed and a trial is conducted and a conviction takes place, I would not jump to any conclusion, mainly because a lot of it is optics, and in particularly the fact that if I take the 2G case and the electoral bonds and this liquor gate together, I see striking parallels in the manner all these things are being discussed. So it's for a court of law to decide some of the procedures, and we should not jump to conclusions, except for my personal opinion is in the earnest money return, which I think was very suspicious. A third important point I want to make is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act itself, in my opinion, is fundamentally flawed, because in a democracy, you cannot be holding people in detention without trial for weeks and months on end, without even being charge sheets being filed. Because even tampering with evidence or other things like questioning, if they are part of the procedure, there must be a reasonable time limit within which these are completed. Until then, a process cannot be deemed and projected like a punishment, and a prosecution cannot be painted like a trial. And that's what we are seeing right now, by and
Okay.
large.
We leave it there. I think a lot will unfold in the Supreme Court, but so far the courts have not offered much relief to Aam Aadmi Party leaders who've been arrested in this same case. Let's also remember that for context. So it will be interesting to see how the Supreme Court responds tomorrow. The other debate will continue. Will there be people who will see Arvind Kejriwal as a political victim? Will it help him politically? Arvind Kejriwal had been virtually daring the ED to arrest him. He ignored 7 ED summons. The opposition will say that this was a headline change, a headline flip. This evening's headlines were, for a moment, maybe about 30 minutes, all about the electoral bonds data that has been devoured, swallowed whole by the Arvind Kejriwal arrest, and I'm sure the opposition has things to say about that. But in the meantime, to Harshit, I'll hand it back to you for your closing words as we say thank you to Madhav.